Alright, hey guys, so it's Blue, and we're going over some patch notes today for patch 5.14 for League of Legends, and I think it's going to be a good patch. Do this. So, let's get right into it. New event, you can check out all the information by clicking this link right here, but there's nothing really on it, because the event technically hasn't really started yet, so yeah. So that's the event that's going to be going on, themed after Bilgewater and pirates and shit. It's pretty sweet. And then with this event comes awesome things. One, Gangplank's getting an update, which is pretty sweet. And I'm going to talk about that real quick after I talk about Miss Fortune real quick since she's right there. Double Up has gotten some consistency buffs, mainly due to the fact that you would cast it and then the bullet would fly fucking everywhere. Like, you wouldn't know where it was going. You'd just kind of hope a little bit that it would hit the target that you wanted it to hit. It was really, really dumb. Like, the mechanics on it were consistent. They just weren't consistent enough. Like, you would have to hit them in, like, a 45-degree cone behind your target, and it would have to be... And even then, it would be random which target it hit, so you wouldn't really be able to poke with it consistently. It was really wonky and strange, but they decreased the bounce angle to 60 degrees so it's more consistent, which I think is really good because sometimes it would go like you would bounce and then it would like bounce and then go forward and it would be really weird. But this will make it a bit more consistent, not forward but backwards. This will make it a bit more consistent, give you Miss Fortunes a little bit happy, and then is it will find a target directly behind the person. Target is found will go to the closest target in a 60-degree angle. So the fact that it's the closest target now means that you can poke with it more consistently, since it will decide who's the closest target, which is really nice. No longer applies grievous wounds. This kind of was a bitch and a half to deal with in lane, since if you healed against her, you'd only get half your heal, which is kind of poopy. But now, when it's activated, it gets the Strut movement speed buff, which is her passive, which is really, really nice. Makes it so that she can kind of get away from things. This actually gives her a little bit of an escape, which she desperately, desperately needed. She really needed an escape, and this kind of gives it to her. Make It Rain. The slow has gone down a little bit, but combined with the Strut's movement speed, I think her overall kiting and escaping has improved overall, even though Make It Rain only gets a 5% decrease in slow. Now, on to Gangplank Champion updates. They changed three things, mainly. They changed actually quite a bit, but the three biggest changes were to his passive, his E, and his ultimate. So, his passive is no longer Grog Soaked Blade, it's now Trial by Fire, which instead of applying a slow and damage over time debuff that stacks, now, every couple of seconds, on a moderate cooldown, you get a true damage dot on your next melee attack. Now, that's really important to remember because Q applies on hit effects, but it won't apply Trial by Fire. So that's the biggest one. His Q, it's literally the same, pretty much the same thing. His W, though, now does remove crowd control effects, and it still scales off of your ability power, but now it also scales off of your missing health, which means that Tank Gangplank is now a little bit more viable because when he's low on health, he won't get a piddly 300 health heal. He'll get like a 400, maybe even 500 health heal. Keep him alive longer when he's low on health, which is really, really good. Powder Keg. Powder Keg replaced Raise Morale. Raise Morale now was a stat booster, basically, and it was an AoE aura when you activated it for a couple of seconds. It was a really weak ability overall, but it gave you passive movement speed and attack damage, but it also gave your team that when you activated it. It wasn't that good of a thing. It was good in team fights because you would just pop it at the beginning and your team would get a little boost in damage, but that's basically the only use for it. But now Powder Keg, he places a barrel that can be attacked by Gangplank or his enemies, and it has to be the last hit, but if Gangplank destroys the keg, it will blow up, and which is good because it'll make things a lot easier, basically, honestly. Like, not easier, like, they upped his difficulty, but they also gave him a greater reward for it. And not only that, you can chain them together. If the explosion radiuses overlap, they get chained together, so then you can set up to 3, and then you can just kind of chain them together, and it looks a bit like this. I'll turn the volume down, though. Here, I'll play this video real quick. Looks like this. This is what it is. But yeah, so you get those. Yeah. And so basically that's it. It spreads the damage of the attack to all nearby enemies, and also you do get gold. I'm sure you know this if you're watching this and you have any experience with Gangplank, but you get gold if you kill a unit with Parlay. If you kill a whole bunch of minions with this and you use Parlay, you get all of the you plunder all the gold. So let's say you kill 9 minions with Parlay from a powder keg, you get the Parlay bonus from all of those, which is really, really nice. They also changed up his ultimate quite a bit. They gave his ultimate functions in the same way. It's still a global AoE damaging over time slowing ultimate. It's an AoE that deals damage every second and slows all enemies within it. There you go. That's Gangplank's ultimate right now. This, however, though, gives you 3 upgrades. It gives you a DPS increase, which is called Fire at Will, which makes it fire faster. And then it also, you have Death's Daughter, which throws out a nuke in the middle that deals true damage. So it gives quite a bit more burst, upend burst to Gangplank, which is something that he needed. He needed burst. He needed more burst damage other than Parlay crits, and even then, if you didn't get the crit, it'd be like 300 damage, which, like, to an 80 carry, that's a little bit, but it's not going to really make an effect. So they did that, so they gave him a bit more burst, they gave him a bit more DPS with it, with Fire at Will, and then the last one is Raise Morale, which gives allied champions movement speed within it. And so, overall, what I think about this new Gangplank is that his early trading is going to be upped a lot with Trial by Fire and, of course, Parlay and maybe even Powder Keg, but his team fighting is going to be a lot stronger now, since especially you can get all 3 upgrades through the use of Silver Serpents, which are a currency exclusive to Gangplank, and for every gold you plunder with Parlay, you get Silver Serpent pieces, which then you can expend in the item shop to upgrade your ultimate. So basically this is the overall what it does, but as far as team fights go, I feel like Gangplank especially, his team fighting is just going to improve over the game. I want to talk about his team fighting first, because this is where I think he's really going to shine. His team fighting is just going to improve all over the game. Like, his team fighting is going to be really, really good now, especially since he has those damage buffs on his ultimate, because they basically are, like, once you get them, they are damage buffs. And it'll help his team out too, since the utility it provides with Raise Morale, it's good. It's really, really good. His ultimate helped his team fighting out a lot. His powder kegs too, if you can prepare for team fights, are also going to be a huge impact. And they also help him with his kiting, because the higher the rank, the faster they tick down to the point where you can destroy them. So that's going to be really nice. And then Trial, and so those are going to be his main team fighting tools that he's going to have. These also slow, which is really nice. So he's got a lot of slows. He's got a good bit of movement hindrance, and then if you build him with a little bit of beef, this can also be great, because you can take hits for your team and then just heal it up. So it's going to be really nice. And of course, this is always good just to help his consistent damage output. Gangplank is retaining his identity as a melee carry, and so basically as a melee carry, he's going to be doing a lot of auto attack damage, so crit chance is going to be nice on him, stuff like that. But I am going to talk about his laning now, since his laning, the fundamentals of his laning have changed, but they haven't changed drastically. So basically, you're still going to want to get in those melee auto attacks to get your passive going with your Trial by Fire. However, though, you won't be able to just outright Q people and get your passive like you used to, which is really nice. But his early laning is still the same. He's going to be able to stay behind his minion wave, farm safely with his Q, eat oranges if he's in a bad spot. But his laning has changed quite a bit, though, with Powder Keg added in, as you can do some really fancy, cool things with that, like you can hide it in the brush and then kind of throw it in there and blow people up from the brush. It's going to be pretty good. And then, of course, his all-in is still going to be really strong with his ultimate, because his all-in was already strong in lane anyway. I might do a full guide since I really like Gangplank, but I feel like with the global presence, especially when he gets the ultimate, upgrades, I feel like Ignite might be a good thing because he's got a burn on here, he's got good consistent damage output. Reducing healing is always going to be nice in top lane since sustain is a big part of playing top lane. Then as well, he just has good consistent damage output, and I think that's going to be really nice. So we already talked about Misfortune, so that's it for Gangplank. The next thing I want to talk about is the HUD update. The HUD update is pretty much making everything a lot more accessible. I think it's going to be a lot more accessible, a lot more easier to access. You can drag people around. Be good stuff like that. It's going to have... And then, what is it? The HUD update just kind of makes everything look nicer, in my opinion. Like, you have your trinket right here, which is really nice, and you have your items. Your map, they're putting your KDA and your gold and stuff like that next to, on top of the map, which I think is really nice, because then you can just look at the game state. Then, of course, game time's going to be where it always is. And then, it's basically not everything's spread out anymore. Overall, they just made everything a lot more compact and kind of focused all in one area, which is going to be really nice to look at. Ahri, this is just kind of a quality of life things that they did. Ahri's charm has always had a real weird interaction with monsters. They would make them regen or freak out or shake, throw a fucking party, who knows what else. So they made Ahri's charm more consistent with monsters, and that's about it. Azir I want to talk about. Azir has been a top tier pick in LCS and competitive play, as well as in high elo play, mid elo play, and even in low elo play sometimes. He's been a really dominant pick throughout everywhere, and I just want to talk to this. Is basically Azir now has been nerfed. He's been nerfed a little bit. However, though, his late game has been buffed a little bit as well, though. So basically, his passive, what is it? They removed Will of the Emperor, which means that his attack speed no longer scales with cooldown reduction. But now he gets a shit ton of attack speed from maxing his W, Arise, which I think is pretty alright. I think that's... I like the idea that they're going for, but I feel like the amount of attack speed he got was a bit too high. 60% attack speed is really, really high. That's a lot of attack speed. And Azir's attack speed scaling is already already good anyway for a mage. So this is an awful lot of attack speed. If you want my honest opinion, I think that they should tone this down to maybe 25, then 30, 35, 40, and then 45, or like somehow, or maybe even make it up to like 55, or maybe just 50, but I think that 60 is a bit too high in my opinion. I think that'll give him a lot of just innate DPS, and will let him just burn people down really fast. Shifting Sands no longer knocks up the first enemy champion hit. So yeah, I don't know if it'll pass through him, but this makes him a lot weaker, since he'll still collide with the champion, but he won't knock them up, so he won't disrupt them, which I think makes him a lot weaker against assassins and people like Katarina or Zed. Things like that, because he doesn't have much counter picks. He didn't have much counter picks in general, but this will make him a lot better because, like, let's say he had a Zed, well, like, Azir would just shifting sand would just like throw up a soldier and then E to it and then just get a shield and knocks it up, completely disrupting him and making it a lot harder for him to kill, for the Zed to kill Azir. But this will make Azir have a bit more counterplay, get him in a better spot. Apprehend just gives vision now, and that's pretty much it. It'll be good for checking bushes, but yeah. So now when the pole grants vision, so it grants vision around the area, not as the pole is going in. So as soon as you cast it, you'll get vision, which is pretty nice. That's all I really have to say. That it allows you to check bushes and things like that. So Echo got some buffs to Assassin Echo. So Echo is in a weird spot right now where Riot intended him to be an assassin, but he's being played as a tank, and which is happened a couple of times to assassins, but not nearly to the extent. Like, there used to be tank CDR Kha'Zix, tank CDR Rengar, tank CDR. Who else had like tanky CDR builds that were also assassins? I think those were the only two. Maybe a couple other ones like, oh yeah, tank CDR Vi. Vi's like not, and her main role isn't an assassin, but she can be really assassin-y, like that sort of thing. And so people would build, but the only viable build that people felt was to be a tank on Echo. A lot of people thought that. Like, Assassin Echo just wasn't strong because his Q had a high as shit mana cost up to 100 mana, and then Phase Drive's cooldown was really long, so he wouldn't be able to survive in fights that well. I think Tank Echo is still going to be strong. This just are buffs to Echo in general, so Tank Echo is even better now. I don't know why they wanted to, I mean, they nerfed Tank Echo already, but Tank Echo is still very good. And that's what if you read this, that's their intention. But, however, though, this does buff Assassin Echo, which is, I think, their main intention. Assassin Echo now has less mana cost, which means more Qs. And then Phase Drive is on a lower cooldown, which means that he can get those assassinations in faster, which is really good. He'll be able to just do more damage and overall be a more solid assassin, which is really nice. Elise, they I remember the new jungle ripped Elise's asshole open. It made her, she could not jungle whatsoever. Like, she was so dominant and so strong for so much time, but then the new jungle just made her really strong. But she's been getting buffs consistently in almost every patch, actually, over the entire season. And at least 5, probably at least, I'd say, not 5, more like 7 patches, she's been buffed. So she's been really, she's been getting to be really strong. And with Runeglaive, she's actually, I think she's like a low tier pick. Not really a low tier pick. I'd say she's like a low mid tier pick, in my opinion. I'm not the smartest and I'm not the best at this game, but I think that she's okay. I don't think she's necessarily bad, but she's nowhere near as good as she once was. So, what is it? So she was designed to be an early pressure jungler, and that is a good Punisher. But they made her stupid strong now, in my opinion. I think this is great. So at early ranks, her cocoon is up higher. It has a longer stun at early ranks. So not up higher, it's got a longer stun. So it's almost at 2 seconds innately. I feel like what they did is they made this a 1-point wonder, because there are already stuns in the game that last this long at max rank innately. So this is like a 1-point wonder now. Like, you don't have to max this to get a longer stun. This is literally a 1-point wonder, which is pretty good, which means that you can allocate points elsewhere. Like, not that you're already maxing cocoon, but like now you can just throw a point in this, and it's good. It's more consistent. It's overall better. This will help her jungle because that extra 0.6 seconds will give her enough time to get another auto attack in, another spell, etc. before the jungle monsters start really hurting her, which is good. Swap spider form damage to magic damage. This kind of wasn't really a buff or a nerf. It was just kind of like, hey, these do magic damage now, in my opinion. Um, However, though, the on-hit ratio has been increased by 0.05, which means that they'll be doing more damage in general. And then her Spiderling movement speed has also been increased. And then the bug where Spiderlings would sit there for 4 seconds after the initial cast for Repel is now gone. Eve changes. They took down her early Dame. They took down her hate spike damage, but they increased her slow. So now she's not necessarily that good of a duelist, but now she has a lot more catch potential. So she has a lot more catch potential now, which is going to be really, really good. That's really nice. Updated recommended items. That's always good. What is it? And now her abilities queue. They like queue up now after her auto attack, which is good. They now properly queue up. So this is just some consistency. Just some consistency things. Rumble, what is it? His ultimate in Q would damage untargetable enemies, which is kind of blech. So, yeah. So now it's kind of bleh. Not which was bleh. It was like really bad because like you'd be Fizz, but you would still be on top of Equalizer even when you're untargetable, so you'd still be taking damage. And so it kind of made things really poopy and not fun. But now this no longer damages enemies who are now out of range of Flame Spitter, which makes Flame Spitter like it makes it more consistent for the enemies. A lot more because you'd be like, wait, I was out of range, but you'd still would be in range. So which is really nice. It's really good. Rise! Thank fucking God, Riot! Oh my God! Thank you! Oh, they removed the permaroot in 5.12, but oh my gosh, Rise was stupid strong. He's still stupid strong. In patch 5.13, he is still so strong. I was playing against the top lane Rise, and his stacks would last for so long. It seemed like he always had stacks. Like seriously, he'd just use an ability and get another stack, and they would just last for a shit long time. But now that they took it down for 4 seconds, he has a smaller window to get more stacks, which is really fucking good. Also, they took down Overload's damage. Again! They took down Overload's damage. This is his second time being reworked, and they're basically doing the same shit that they did to him the first time. They took down his Overload damage. What did they do? They took down Spell Flux damage. Which is like, thank God they did. They took down the ability ratio. So there's just damage nerfs that make Rise is a heck of a lot weaker than he was. He won't be able to charge up his passive as fast, which means that you'll have more windows to harass him in lane. And Q Overload, he's not going to be cramming as much damage in on you as fast as he can. It's better. He's good. Tahm Kench, I feel like, was a little bit lackluster on release, so these are just some small buffs that they're giving him, and I'm happy that they did. This just makes him a bit more consistent, which is nice. What is it? The passive damage was increased to 8% of his bonus health, which is good. Decreased the active cooldown, which is really nice, so it's now 2 minutes and then down to 100 seconds. And then his Tongue Lash now does more damage, which is really good. This brings him in line with other supports and top laners, which is nice. So, Vayne. I want to talk about this a little bit. So, Vayne, now, the Tumble... So, how Tumble works is that when you Q, you get... In your next 6 seconds, you get a basic attack, and then the ability goes on cooldown. But what would happen is that the basic attack would have to hit, and then the ability would go on cooldown, not when you shot it. Now they made it so when the actual projectile leaves Vayne is when Tumble goes on cooldown, which makes her a lot more forgiving, because there will be times where I would auto attack in my Tumble and trying to get that reset, but trying to get the Tumble cooldown up, but then Fizz would Playful Trickster me, and then I wouldn't get the reset because the attack didn't hit him, so I'd be stuck with that still in that 6 second timer, which effectively put my cooldown on an which effectively put Tumble on an 8-second cooldown instead of a 6-second, instead of a 2-second one. So there's just some quality of life changes that are going to make Vayne's kit a little bit more forgiving. Vayne, honestly, in my opinion, has one of the most unforgiving kits in the game. Like, she is such an unforgiving champion to play, but her reward is so high. Yeah. So, before Whirlwind wasn't working the same as the other two casts of Yasuo's hit, you wouldn't get on hit, correctly on it, because Steel Tempest applies on hit effects on the first enemy struck, but Whirlwind didn't, so that was a big problem. So, was it Mana Regeneration on Hunter's Machete, just gives some people more mana sustain. Runeglaive, what is it? This is good. I think this is good. Oh, thank God. Runeglaive no longer converts basic attacks into magic damage, which was good against champions who would just stack MR against Runeglaive and like basically your whole basic attack would be negated, which was pretty nice. Which was pretty good. You would still like it's not a significant change, but it's alright. It's okay. This will like make you do like a slightly more tiny bit more of damage, nothing important. AoE damage only applies on monsters. Okay. Thank God. Thank God that happened. That means that lane smite is out of the place. If you don't know me, I really hate smite in lane, and I understand that it's like a cool strategy that people are doing, but I hate it so much. And I hate playing it, and I hate playing against it, and there are reasons to this. One, if you get Trailblazer and you get Smite in lane, you get wave clear on pretty much every champion. Like, you get it's pretty damn good wave clear too, since it scales with your level, so it's like, you get automatic wave clear. And then champions, and then on top of that, it just makes everything boring, since it makes these jungle items stupid OP, because okay, so jungle items only cost $22.50, all of them. That's how much they cost. So let's think about smite in lane. Let's think about the gold that is needed to get your jungle item when compared to other laning items. When it comes to other items that laners rush. Let's think about top lane and when Cinderhulk was fucking stupid in top lane. So, with smite, you would be able to get your first rushed item, Cinderhulk, within about 8-ish minutes of the game, I would estimate. Like, something around, it would be a really short time. They could get it a lot sooner, because it was only $22.50. Sunfire Cape is closer to 3,000. It's like 2,800, I believe, or 2,900, or 2,750. It's something like that. Something in that range. It's expensive. It's an expensive item when compared to these jungle items. What other items are really expensive in lane? When you think Blade of the Ruin King, 3,200 compared. That's an item that a lot of top laners rush. Visage, like 2,600. Like, these items were so cheap, and they would just, the early game, it would basically, whoever had smite would just outright seem to have a huge, not outright win the lane, but they would have a huge advantage because of how cheap smite items are. And it was the same thing with when Runeglaive was played in mid lane. It's like Diana or Ezreal would get their item, I would still suck trying to get either my Athenes or my Seraph's Embrace, well, not my Archangel Staff, or my Ramilamakan, or even my Blade of the Ruin King, or Ghost Blade, or Hydra for AD mid laners. It was like, these items cost a lot, lane items cost a lot more than jungle items, and taking jungle items into lane just gives the laner just an innate advantage because they finish their item faster. And like, yeah, these items aren't as effective, but at the same time, though, being an item up is still being an item up. Like, even if like the components of an item are not as strong as a full completed item, because the full completed item gives you special passives that are only on that item, and then Runeglaive would give you those passives. So it was just frustrating because of how cheap they were. So also also deals double damage to the monster on hit, which is nice. So we're done with Kroonglaive, done with my rants about jungle items in lane. They replaced Zeke's Herald, which no longer exists. Oh, okay. So, auras. Yep, auras. Auras are frustrating things. I don't like aura items because aura items are just giving passive stats to your whole team, and like I don't think they're toxic to the game. They're just hard to deal with. Like I think that they have their place, but Zeke's Herald was an aura item, which the aura almost didn't matter, and then it was just a really lackluster aura item, and so yeah. So it was just lackluster, like 10 attack damage and like I think it was like 8% lifesteal or some shit like that. That's nothing. That's a Vamp Scepter to your whole team. Whoop-de-doo. That's not that powerful. Like, if you had like an all AD team, then I guess sure Zeke's would be a good buy if literally every champion did physical damage. Like if you had a Jarvan support, a Jinx AD carry or any AD carry, and then like a Talon mid, a Vi jungle, and then like a Zed top, then Zeke's would be a good buy because they're just making them more effective. But Zeke's was just kind of bad, and yeah. So this is an extremely offensive support tool that it's just a really powerful support tool. It basically what is it? You bind yourself to a target ally, and then this moves all of their conduits to your target. What the fuck are conduits? Okay, within 1,000 units of each other, you and your ally generate charges. Second until 100 charges are reached, and then lasting 8 seconds. Attacking or using abilities generates extra charges. Causing damage consumes all charges and increases your ally's ability power by 20% and strike chance by 50% for 6 seconds. Holy fuck! This is stupid. Riot, no. No. Why? What the? Oh my god. So I'm just gonna throw this out. The 20% ability power increase is tolerable. I'm okay with this. I'm okay. I'm okay with the 20% power increase. But giving 50% critical strike chance for 6 seconds? Let's do some math. Alright, we're doing math in this first episode. So let's say you have 1.5 attack speed. That's about what Phantom Dancer gives to most AD carries. Jinx is kind of a little bit different, but Jinx has such low attack speed scaling, it's stupid. So let's do that, alright? So let's times that by 6. That is 9 auto attacks. You have 55% crit chance, so add that 50% with, now I'm assuming Phantom Dancer and Infinity Edge in this one. This is assuming Phantom Dancer and Infinity Edge, with Phantom Dancer and Infinity Edge, which give 55% crit chance. Okay, and let's say with that you have, and let's add Last Whisper in there, you have about 280 something attack damage. So let's go times 280. So that's with no crits. That's 2,500. That's 2,520 damage with no crits. So that's with 9 auto attacks within 6 seconds. Let's double this. That is 5,000 damage. That's 5,040 damage. And by the way, that 100% crit chance with this item is guaranteed. Sure, you can only bind it on to one item, but that 20% ability power increase really isn't going to matter nearly as much as if you just give it to your fucking AD carry. And then if you rush this item, and give it to your AD carry. So if you rush this item in lane and you get it, how much does it cost? Like, seriously, how much does this item cost? It doesn't say how much it costs. That's stupid. It's probably going to be cost efficient because it's a support item. So if you rush this item in lane as a support and your AD carry has like the components of Infinity Edge, they're going to get around 60% crit chance in lane. That's stupid. This basically fucking made bot lane hell. I already don't like to play bot lane all that much anyway, but this just made me hate bot lane even more because the bot lane is now going to be about who gets Zeke's Harbinger first, just because of the passive. Just because of the passive, like what is it? You'll bind it to your AD carry, you'll bind yourself to your AD carry, and then this passive is literally, it's just gonna fucking really. Basically, whoever gets this first is gonna win lane. There you go. That's literally what it is. Whoever, and it's got a Glacial Shroud, Fine Tome. What is Glacial? I need to look this up. What is Glacial Shroud again? Glacial Shroud. Oh, okay, it's this one. So you get your mana, you get your armor. Like, really, Riot? Riot, don't. Why are you releasing this item in this state? This isn't. This is gonna come down to whoever wins. Whoever gets Zeke's Harbinger first wins bot lane. There you go. That's what you just did. That's literally what you just did. Thresh is gonna buy this. Leona's gonna buy this. Janna is gonna buy this. Morgana. Every single support in the game is going to rush this item. And think about, what is it? Like the supports with lower-ish cooldowns? Like, let me think. Who's a support with lower-ish cooldowns? Like Nunu, there we go. Nunu's gonna Blood Boil, so what is it? It's after attacking or using abilities, generates extra charges. So, one, Sona's now fucking viable because her Q cooldown is lower, is on a decent cooldown, and the rest of her abilities are also on decent cooldown, and she's spammy as fuck, which means that she'll be able to generate charges faster. And then, not only that, it increases your critical strike chance too if you're the support, so you'll also be able to dish out crits, so it's like, oh my god. And not only that though, if you bind Yasuo with this, let's say you go mid lane, and you bind Yasuo, and then Yasuo's, doing his thing, getting his charges, he's just going to get a guaranteed 100% crit chance just because of this, so Riot, why? This item's fucking OP. It's OP. It's legitimately overpowered. Like, you have made an extremely overpowered item, and you'll be able to switch targets decently fast, too. So it's like you can make your tank do damage because of the ability power increase, and many tanks deal magic damage. You'll be able, and even if it's an AD tank like Jarvan, the crit chance will still help, too. Like, this item's broken. It's legitimately broken. Yeah, sure, you have to wait to store charges, but still, this is like Luden's Echo on release and how broken it was. It's terrible. So, what is it? Oh, okay, so this is interesting. So this gives, the timers are automatically updated for both teams, and then Dragon and Baron now have new global death sounds, which is pretty nice. No global death sounds, it's good. Okay. Tribes and Taunts will lock Scuttler in place instead of making them confused. And then Charms, Taunts, Fears, and Fleas will all weaken Scuttles like other hard CC does, and then Aatrox's Q will now properly removes Scuttler's existences. Okay, so this made jungle Aatrox just a little bit faster. Other than that, no. And then Death Recap. They fixed it so where will always show the highest 3 sources of damage, which is good. Fixes will now interrupt recalls. Syndra can only pick up Baron. What the fuck? I didn't know she could do that. That's silly. Fixed a few cases where debuff particles exhaust persisted even after the effect was purged with Cleanse. Okay, so that's just visual stuff. But now we have skins. Cool ass Bilgewater skins. I think Miss Fortune's actually really good now. Like, I don't think she's still that immobile AD carry, but she already had a lot of power. But it's just me talking about this skin. I should have said this all when I was talking about Miss Fortune. Then Graves and Twisted Fate got cool new skins. Then cool new skins. But I do want to talk about Miss Fortune real quick. Miss Fortune, I think, is now stronger. A lot stronger, and I'm no expert, but I think she's even competitively viable now, like for LCS play. But I'm not gonna say for sure because I just don't know. But this was a huge patch. Sorry for the long video, but I do want to say Miss Fortune already had a lot of power because of the passive on-hit damage from her W, and then that applied to her ultimate too. So. But now that her Q is more consistent, her movement speed bonus gives her an escape to get away from ganks. And then Make It Rain has slow. So basically, she's a lot more consistent now, and I think she's in a good spot now. So yeah. So that's all I really gotta say about this. I'll see you guys in the next patch, and new video coming soon. So yeah, see ya!